Hey, good morning, folks. This is Jay. I'm an imperfect guy trying to tell imperfect people about the perfect love of God. And here's what I want you to know. You have not blown it. Hang with me for just a moment. I'll explain more about that. So I know what it's like to think that you've just messed up too much, that you have blown it. Oftentimes, this feeling is based on relational experiences where maybe things haven't gone the way we hoped they would or thought they should. And so that relationship just gets severed and ultimately it becomes just lost because we've just blown it. We've done too much wrong. And a lot of times I think we take that mentality and we apply it to our relationship with God because we think that we've done so much that we've just blown it. We've messed it up. Well, one of the coolest experiences that happened after Jesus rose from the dead after that first Easter Sunday was whenever he approached a guy who thought he blew it. His name was Peter, and if you know all the events that transpired around that crucifixion day, that Good Friday, you'll know that Peter actually had the opportunity to identify himself as one of Jesus's friends, his followers, a believer in him. He had the opportunity to do this 3 times. And every time Peter was asked about his relationship or even knowledge of this man named Jesus, he simply denied even knowing of him. And it said that he actually cursed him, so to speak. He was so adamant about his denial. And he did this 3 different occasions. Now imagine, if you will, Peter, who was often the spokesperson. He was the first one to speak, the last one to think. He was very devout and just committed to Jesus, being his friend and being his follower and believing in him. But yet, whenever the pressure was on him, he denied the very knowledge of the man Jesus. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Now we get this picture in the Bible that Peter wrestled with this denial of Jesus to the extent that he thought that he had just simply ruined it, that he had blew it, that he had ruined any opportunity and destroyed any chance of him ever being restored to this relationship he once had with Jesus. And in John chapter 21, we actually find a really cool Bible verse that I have right here with me that says, beginning in verse 1, later Jesus appeared again to the disciples beside the Sea of Galilee. This is how it happened. Several of them were there: Peter, Thomas, nicknamed the twin, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the son of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples. So Jesus appeared to the disciples. Peter was there, and Peter makes this decision after this appearance that Jesus makes to them. And he says in verse 3, I'm going fishing. You see, those are loaded words. It wasn't just that Peter was bored. It wasn't just that he thought that it was good fishing weather and he's ready to hang that big catch. Whenever Peter said, I'm going fishing, it was a statement of his internal feeling that he had ruined it in regards to his relationship with Jesus. See, before Peter began doing life with Jesus, both in ministry and in partnership and in friendship, he was a fisherman. He was a fisherman by trade. He was a professional. This is what he did for a living. So what he was saying whenever he said, I'm going fishing, was that I have ruined my opportunity with Jesus so bad that I might as well go back to what I used to do, because there's surely no opportunity for me to do what I was doing with Jesus. And the cool thing about it is, after this, Peter makes the decision. He takes some of his friends with him to go fishing, and they're out there fishing. He has a horrible night, catches nothing, and he looks up on the shore, and who does he see standing there? It's Jesus. See, Peter had decided to go back to what he used to do, but Jesus wasn't going to let him live in that world where he thought he ruined it. Jesus comes to Peter. They have an exchange. They have a discussion. They have a conversation. And what Peter learns is that it wasn't as he thought. He hadn't blown it. Jesus still had great love for him. Jesus' grace covered all his denials. Jesus' purposes for his life were still intact. So at the end of the day, Peter learned through a loving God that he had not blown it. In the same way, Jesus says the same thing to each and every one of us. Regardless of how bad we think we have blown things up, regardless of what we have done, we have not blown it. I know what it's like to deal with those feelings. You know what it's like to deal with those feelings. But Jesus speaks into that dark place, to that state of not knowing what to do or where to go and bordering on depression, if not full blown, and says, you have not blown it. Your mistakes, your imperfections is not greater than my grace and does not disqualify you from my love and does not disqualify you from my purposes for your life. I have good for you. You have not blown it. So here's my word of encouragement for today. I don't know what you've done or what you're doing, but I know what it's like to think that you've just messed up too much. And here's what I want you to know. You have not. Jesus loves you. His grace is greater than you think. His love is vaster than you can imagine, and his purposes are greater than you can dream. So don't think you've blown it. You haven't. He's waiting. He's calling. He's speaking. He wants you. Folks, have a happy Thursday. My name is Jay, Imperfect Guy, telling imperfect people about the perfect love of God. God bless.